matter, hon? You look so sad.
Are you okay?
You gonna tell me your dark secret?
Uh-huh.
When will I be normal?
You're a dummy, bitch. You will never know shit.
You're reminding me of your mother. I guess that's bad, right?
You hate me.
Yeah, I hate you.
Well, I always loved you.
You know what they're gonna do to you? They're gonna kill you.
Walter, what did you do?
It's a baby.
Since when did you give a shit?
How can you say that to me?
Would you like to sit on my lap?
What?
Would you like to sit on my lap?
Oh, thank you.
Okay. Doesn't matter.
That was my man. That was my fucking man. That was my man. And he wanted my daughter. And that's why I hated her. Because my man, who was supposed to be loving me, who was supposed to be making love to me, was fucking my baby. And she made him leave. She made him go away.
So whose fault was it
It's
then?
this bitch's fault because she let my man have her and she didn't say nothing. She didn't scream. She didn't do nothing. So those things that she told you I did to her, who else was gonna love me? Turn the bus! Everybody out! Said I'm not leaving until I see her.
I bet you wish I spoke French just like Jackie. Jackie Kennedy. Que sera, sera.
You can't handle none of this.
About time you go ahead on your own.
Get the hell out of my house!
It's all paper boy.
You gotta get those facts straight. You gotta get all the facts straight.
Starting to sound like your brother. Look, we have a deadline here. I've told you, this is the newspaper business. We don't have time to get all the facts. We both know the town of Lately set Hillary up. We've got the story.
It's not the fucking truth.
You want to talk about the motherfucking truth? You thought I was from London? Ain't no Negro getting a job up in this spot unless he's a colored motherfucking James Bond, you dig? I got drunk once and let Ward suck my dick. He got a taste for niggas and now he hates himself. That's the truth. Go back to your brother, boy. I've got a deadline to meet.
You're very popular around here. Everyone says you're the man that got them raises and promotions. I had no idea.
I wish I could take credit for that.
I'd like to invite you to the state dinner next week.
I'm gonna be there, Miss Reagan.
No. Not as a butler, Cecil. I'm inviting you as a guest.
But the president prefers for me to serve him personally.
Don't you worry about Ronnie. I'll take care of that. So we'll see you next week, you and your wife.
My wife?
It's Gloria. Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
I'd like you to keep a journal.
Truly takes a human being to really see a human being.
Stop screaming.
Don't smile. Don't smile. Come on.
You want to give me a ride?
University of New Haven, hi. University of New Haven. Hi, everybody. I barely made it from New York City. I see many of you barely made it too. I got about empty seats over. I'm happy to be here. I was backstage eating. I was hungry. They didn't have anything. I'm on this new diet. I lost some weight, and so I'm limited with my food options. But I'm happy to be here. I like talking about my experience to, if I can affect just one person here tonight, then I've done my job as a filmmaker. And yeah, can you believe they let me on TV? Has anybody seen my movies, or you just know from your empire? What, you do? What's your favorite movie? You like Precious? Has anybody seen Paperboy? Who's seen Paperboy? Do you like it? What do you like about it? It's my favorite movie, by the way. It's different. It's a very different experience. It's a different experience is my favorite. But if you see Paperboy, you can't imagine why it is and how it is that, of all people, Fox would let me out of my cage to come into your homes every day. It's crazy. It's what a journey it's been. And I didn't get the opportunity to go to, I did go to college, but I had a choice. I had a choice to, I couldn't afford it. I had 2 years, and they didn't have all the special things that they got now for y'all. With, what they got, scholarships and shit, and all that stuff y'all got back in my day. And so I had an option. I had an option of either selling, a second year in, I was selling drugs, and I thought, do I want to go down this road to sell drugs, to stay in school, or do I leave school? So I opted to leave school. I wish I hadn't left school. You know, I'm sort of, that's the one regret that I have. I got an honorary doctorate. But, you know, my son's lurking around. He's 19. He's talking about leaving. I said, the fuck? The fuck? And no. And that's like the one thing that I wish that I hadn't done, you know, the regret that I have about not leaving school. Yeah. So where do we begin? How I became a filmmaker, how I got to where I'm at, and from where I cometh from. I come from, anybody from Philadelphia? Hey, Philly in the house. Where? Anybody from Philadelphia? Hey, Philly in the house. Yes, baby, yes. We're North Philly. I'm just fucking with you. Chester's all right. What'd you say? It's okay. Yeah. So I come from West Philly, and I grew up in the projects, and you know, I think that people oftentimes they think how do you do it? What do you do? How do you get to where you are? And I think when you come from nothing, if you come from a place of nothing, you have nothing to lose. So I always dared to dream big, because from where I cometh, it was just, it was what it was. And I knew I had to get out of there, and hook or crook. And most of my friends are dead. I was talking to Denzel Washington about it. He understands. He's 5 years older than me, and we're besties. And as I throw it around, yeah, you taping it, bestie Denzel. That's just the first name I'm throwing around tonight. What we do is, what we have, the common denominator that we have as African American men is that we come from a place of poverty. We come from a place of hunger. We come from a place of watching death. These are things that if you haven't experienced, it takes you to another place. It takes you as a person to another place, so that you're able to show it, feel it. You have to feel it, and if you've lived it, anything that I have on screen, you've seen on screen. If I haven't lived it or eaten it or experienced it, fucked it, you won't believe. You have to believe. And you're not going to believe it's not true. And I have to get my actors to come to a place of truth. And the only way I know about it is if I've walked it, if I've done it, if I've eaten it, and so on and so on. So I come from West Philly, and I didn't know that I wanted to direct. I knew that I wanted to escape, and I wanted to make magic happen. Because the place that I came from was such a dark place. I knew I was different, and I felt different, and I was bullied as a kid, beaten up. I learned at the age of from 5 years old how to hold my urine, because I was bullied, and I wouldn't go to the bathroom because they was calling me faggots and shit, and so I didn't go to the bathroom until I was in 9th grade. I had learned to hold my urine from 9 a.m. until lunchtime. No, until 3 p.m. There was no lunch. I was too afraid to go into the bathroom. And it's a horrifying thing, which is part of the reason why, you go, why am I doing Empire right now? Why am I doing Empire right now? I believe in the universe taking care of me. He's guided me. I'm all over the place, but there's a point to this, guys. Stay with me. My actors do the same thing. What is he talking about now? Why am I doing Empire right now? And I realized that that kid in me that was bullied needed to come out and tell my story. The odds that I'm alive are shocking. I dodged bullets as a kid, coming home. I dodged the HIV bullet during the 80s as I watched many of my lovers and boyfriends die in my arms, several, and my friends. I have none that I grew up with. That I'm not HIV positive is a miracle. I don't understand it. I beat myself up because of it, because all my friends were dead, and I abused my body with cocaine and crystal meth, and I had 2 heart attacks, and that I am not dead from the heart attack is a miracle from God. So I know that God exists, and that the universe is taking care of me, and has guided me into this place right now where I'm at with you tonight. But going back to my childhood. So I knew that I was different. I knew that I wanted to direct, but I didn't know that it was directing that I wanted to do. So I would tell I had a bunch of brothers and sisters and cousins and neighbors, and I would tell them what to do and put costumes on them and start reading, giving them plays, and they'd recite things and stuff, and they thought it was cute, and so that evolved to, okay, well now what? I'm in my teens and I'm still doing it, and it's not cute anymore, and really no one could make a career. Really, what do you do with that magical gift? What do you do with it? I went off to school, to a liberal arts school. My family saved some money up for me for the first year. And they all saved. They all like gave me this. It was $12,000, a big deal. And they put me on the bus. And I went. And by the way, that moment at the bus station in The Butler. Who's seen The Butler? It was where we lived from my family, except they weren't as classy as Oprah and Forrest. Oprah was like, "Why do I have to wear curlers?" Seeing my son off at the bus station, I said, "Because my mother did." She says, "Well, I don't think that." I said, "My mother did, and you will too, Oprah." She's like, "Okay, well, I'll put 2 curlers in. How's that? I'll take it." Again, a life experience. But we got on the bus, and I got on the bus, and I remember going, and I'm gonna take you a little bit further back. My mother knew instinctively that I was gonna be as my assistant, my trusty assistant, Tom, back there, walking around. What's the matter, Tom? Okay, you sure? Come out and say hi to everybody, Tom. This is Tom. Tom was my assistant, but now he's in the writer's room at Empire. Go away, Tom. We're on hiatus, so he came back. He's back here helping me write Richard Pryor, which is my next film. It was really exciting. Yeah, exciting. Where was I? Tell me. All right, yeah. So, I was trying to figure out, my mom knew instinctively that I would end up a casualty. That it was inevitable that I would be a drug dealer or I would end up dead. And that gift that my mom had, that mothers have, there was a neighbor that lived 2 doors down from us that was a butler for the owner of the Philadelphia Flyers. Bless you. Somebody bless you. Bless you. You ain't got no cold, do you? Oh man, I gotta get on The View tomorrow. I can't be cold. So my mother had a neighbor that was a butler, and he lived in Villanova. You know, out there in Villanova, Philadelphia? Y'all know Villanova. So it was all white. It was like main line, all white. And I had never seen anybody white before in my life. And my mom said, "You're gonna go to school out there." And so we used his address, the guy that owned the Philadelphia Flyers, to go to school. So I, in actuality, lied and said that, I was a resident of Villanova to go to this school that was there. That was incredible. I was like one of 3 black people in the school. And I had never seen white people before, really, except on TV, which is really shocking, I was like, holy fuck, It was really an experience. And I think that enabled me to, in 8th grade, I went from being called faggot to nigger. That again built a shield up around me. It was God's gift of protecting me, so I was armored to deal with the world at a young age. And I made some incredible friends. I learned that it didn't matter what color you were. It changed my life. And wow, what a great school it was in a great theater department. And I sort of knew what it was that I wanted to do. And that was direct, except there weren't any pioneers, there wasn't anybody that was, that I could look up to, like there was no one doing what it was that I was doing. So I didn't have a role model to really look up to. And I went off to college, as I told you. And that second year was very, very painful because I was in the theater department. And I knew that the clock was ticking. And unless you have stolen to support your family, unless you have stolen food to eat, you won't really know what this experience is like. But I knew that I was pained at the end of that first year that I knew that the gig was up. I was gonna have to do some shit that I wouldn't be proud of. and so I had to leave school. And that was I told you before, I regret that. But not really, because I'm really happy that I didn't go into a place that my cousins and everybody else and my friends had. So the one girl I had sex with in my life, Lori Ingram, gave me $76, and I took another bus to Hollywood. I know this sounds crazy, but I had $76 in my pocket, nowhere to go, and a lot of big dreams. I landed in Hollywood. This is straight out of a text. I was living on the street, and I went to work at a nursing agency, selling nurses. I knew nothing about nurses. I had an aunt that was a nurse, but I didn't know about nurses at all, or medical doctors, and, taking care of people. And like if your mom got sick, and she needed somebody in a home to take care of you, as opposed to going to the hospital, she would call this nursing agency, and I would find a nurse and send them to the house. Cut to a year later, and I'm like the top salesperson, and I'm like, damn, I can do this by myself. It's sort of like pimping, you know what I mean? So I took five of their best nurses, and I from my apartment in Hollywood, because I had an apartment by then, and I hustled my way into to 300 nurses. I think I was 22 years old. I had 300 nurses working for me from my home. I knew nothing of nursing. It was like I was pimping, you know what I mean? I was but it was legit, nothing like that, It was all above board, except taxes. I didn't know nothing about taxes because I didn't know, you got to pay, you got to pay taxes, and I didn't know about taxes. Oh yeah. So and one of the people that I was taking care of was the producer of a film called Purple Rain, and at the time I was directing theater at night. So it was in Hollywood. I was in Crenshaw. Anybody from California? L.A. Where? So do you know Crenshaw area? So I was there doing theater at night and working during the nursing agency during the day. And Prince is the producer of Purple Rain. Anybody see Purple Rain? Y'all should see that. That's off the chain. Anyway, it really is. Prince it's magical. Do you like the movie? It inspired me. So, huh? You gotta see it. It's okay. Yeah. Why haven't everybody else seen it? Prince first movie. Go see it. No, seriously, guys, it's something that who wants to be directors or actors? Who wants to get in and from that group, who has or hasn't seen Purple Rain? Dude, you have to. It's a must. Even if you're not in it, it's a must. And so the guy, he says he would slip his check in on Saturday. Let's just say he gave me $22 for an hour for the nurse. I paid a nurse $11 an hour. It was pimping. But and so people would come in and give me checks, and I had an office at that point. I had left my apartment and had an office, and he knocked on the door, and he thought I was white because I could change my voice. I'd been around white people, so I go, "Hello, how are you, Mrs. Schwartz?" "Sure, absolutely. We will not send anybody black to your house. I promise you." We find the one white nurse that we had and sent her off to the house. And she worked more than anybody. He said, "Wait a minute, hold on. You're Lee Daniels?" And I go, "Yeah." I'm high as a kite. I'm jacked. Got my and he said, "Wow, what do you want to do?" And I said, I want to direct." And he said, "Well, I'm a producer, and why don't you start by casting?" And so I said, okay. I sold the nursing agency literally at 23 years old. I sold that nursing agency for $2 million. Never looked back. And I got my first casting job dressed in a Giorgio Armani suit, pulling up to Warner Brothers in a Porsche, a black Porsche, thinking I was Mac Daddy, not knowing shit about the studio system, just like driving on. And I got fired, I don't know how many, for every time the studio would fire me, Prince would rehire me. I would get fired. They said, no, this crazy man, no. But I would come out, we came up with these provocative ideas of casting in a way that, we hadn't seen before. That's why I said you got to see the movie. You got to really check out the film, Purple Rain. And Warner's loved my work so much that they put me under contract, which was, they put me something called head of minority talent. Okay? So I'm head of minority talent. And, they're not really casting, they're not any black movies going on. So I'm just like there with my thumb up my ass, interviewing, talent. And part of that job was looking at theater, which was really an incredible time. There were some great African-American actors that were on Broadway and all over. So I traveled quite a bit. And they weren't working. People like Morgan Freeman. I would imagine most of you know his work. And there are a whole group of people like Morgan that, simply were just doing theater. And so because it wasn't about the movies, for me, it was always about the work, it was about theater. And Morgan was my first, so I was at Warner's, and I was bored because I wasn't really doing anything. I was just sort of sitting there, not casting black people because they wouldn't put black people in, we couldn't be anything but pimps or drug dealers. And these are really credible thespians at the time. Things are totally different now, but I was many, many moons ago. And so I saw Morgan in a play called Gospel of Colonus. And I was like, I said, this is when that nursing agency thing sort of kicked in, that pimp thing. And I said, who's managing you? Why aren't you working more? And I said, you could be a star. And he said, what are you talking about, kid? He's really, I don't know whether you're too young to remember his television show, The Electric Company. So he was doing that, and A plus B equals C. It's a kid's show for PBS. You can be a movie star. So I didn't know it at the time, but it was management. I was hiring him to, I was finding work for actors, for black actors, and putting them in film. And so, and all the while directing. Are you with me? Everybody with me? So I'm a manager now. I've left Warner's, head of minority talent, which was a bullshit position, and then still directing theater at night. Managing, still directing theater at night. Managing actors that just really, I don't know, you probably know these younger ones. Wes Bentley was in American Beauty. Heath Ledger, and I sort of diversified. I then left black, because I wasn't making no money off the blacks. I had to come up, try to, I didn't leave black, never left black. Ever left black. But the white boys are making the money, not just the white girls, but specifically the white boys. Those are the people that were making the money. And so I evolved even more, and I said, well, I couldn't get in the door. I couldn't get in the door into film, theater. I couldn't get the black actors working. And I realized, okay, well, what do I have to do to get African Americans working? I have to create my own shit. Hence Monsters Ball. Anybody see that movie? So that was my first movie. And I said, okay, what do I have to do to, I realized that I had to create my own destiny. And that's what I did. I went out, and everybody thought I was crazy. Who wants to see, anybody know the story about, how many people literally have seen Monsters Ball? So I know. Okay, so anyway, it's about an interracial love story and a little fat kid that dies at the end, black kid dies. Everybody told me it was gonna happen. Who wants to see it? Nobody wants to see it. And, but I hustled, I hustled because that's what I knew to do. That was what I knew to do. I'd been told early on that that was nothing, that I was a faggot, that I wouldn't be nothing. I was put in a trash can early on, literally. I don't know whether you saw the pilot of Empire with the kid. That's my life story. It's my life story. And the kid walking down with the high heels. And so I can't, so when that happened, when that shit happens to you, you build up a resistance. So nothing can fuck with you. Like nothing can fuck with you. And that's deep. Because you think about it, as I'm sitting here. And so, where was I? Help me, guys. Trash can. Prior to that, Monsters Ball. There we go, Monster Ball. And so and then what happened? So after that, everybody told me at Warner Brothers, which I was working for, Paramount, Sony, everyone said no one wants to see the film. And so what I did was I went to resorting to what I know, and that's raising money any kind of way, hook or crook, walking up to anybody with some money, asking them for it, investing into me, putting your own money in to me, and then we won the fucking Oscar, and she made history, and that was like mind blowing, and it was really an incredible experience, it was a magical moment. That was when your first film like that happens and you make history. And then I got offered all these movies, but they were black movies, like Who's My Baby's Mama? And like, seriously, they were offering me shit, but it was like shit that I wouldn't like wipe my ass with. Like, Leprechauns from the Hood, Part 4. And I was like, well, what happened to 1, 2, and 3? Seriously. So I, being the auteur that I wanted to prove it to be, I went off and did another film. And y'all probably haven't seen this, and if you have, you deserve an A. Who has seen The Woodsman? Honestly? It's about a pedophile. Who else? One person. See the film. It's a good film if you're into pedophiles. Kevin Bacon stars with Kira Sedgwick and Eve. And it's a very interesting film about this understanding of, and by the way, oops, I forgot to tell you this. My partner and I adopted my brother's kids that became my kids that are now 19 years old, both in college, both of whom I hate. I guess, kids, man. And so I did a movie. We were at the Y, and I saw something. On a bulletin board that said about there was a pedophile or a sex offender, and I was so fascinated by who they were, and I started doing research and documentary work, looking at documentaries, fascinated, and thought that why not do a film about finding out what makes a pedophile tick, and so. I raised another $1 million from, oh wow, man, it's like hit the streets again, raising money, because nobody didn't believe that was going to be a hit, which it really wasn't, but it made its money back. And we won Cannes. I became the first black man to win Cannes with that film. I'm really excited about it. Anybody know about Cannes here? Jesus Christ. That's all right. Cannes is a film festival. That is, so it's a big deal. It's like Sundance, sort of, but overseas. And in France, and after that, I did a movie called Shadowboxer. Anybody see that movie? That's with Helen Mirren and Cuba Gooding Jr. And y'all should really watch some of this stuff because it's not like the stuff that we're seeing right now. I believe in telling stories that about the human condition, people that are flawed, people that are troubled. People that have an interesting life. I think that the studios have brainwashed all y'all to think that you're only capable of watching is Spider-Man and the likes. But we're far more complicated than that as people. And I think that they underestimate the intelligence of everybody in this room by shoveling out shit to you guys. It's like McDonald's. So, yeah. And after that, I did, and so I just got on a roll, you know, you get in a roll. It's still hard, you know, it was still hard. I went from there to Precious. Now, y'all have seen Precious, right? Yeah or no? Okay. And that was a party. Again, you know, I knew the girl, you know, I knew the story. The story affected me so deeply and so powerfully that I really wanted to tell that story. I knew everybody in there. I knew the teacher. I knew Mary. I knew, you know, got a group of people together that were friends that loved me, and we became, you know, except in the press recently, boy, Monique's coming after me. But I love her. I do. And so we finished that movie. Monique won the Oscar. We were nominated for Best Writer. Oh, I was responsible for the first black writer winning the Oscar that year, ever, Jeffrey Fletcher, for his screenplay. And from there, I did a movie called Paperboy with Nicole Kidman, Matthew McConaughey, Zac Efron, Macy Gray. It was one of my favorite, if not my favorite movie. You've seen it, right? Who saw Paperboy? Yeah, that's my favorite out of all of them. And it didn't do well. It was a little ahead of its time. But then the universe bounced me right back into Butler. My mom was like, why can't you do normal movies? Like, what's wrong with you? And I go, what are you talking? She says, why can't you do movies like Tyler Perry? Read. And and I said, okay, Ma. So then I did The Butler. So she could shut up and tell our church friends to shut up. Look at this. And that made her really happy. You know, for some reason, The Butler made her really happy, and it made my aunts and uncles happy. And during that process, I learned again, you know, about I'd forgotten what it was that, you know, that the country had been through, and how much we've all changed. You know, what's happened, you know, and what lessons from the past we've learned, and what we haven't learned. And then after that, my partner, Danny Strong, who wrote The Butler, was like, how do we take this to another level? And he said, like, what do we do to, like, what next? And I said, no more film for a while. I said, I want to make some money, you know? And so he said, okay, let's do it. He had this idea of Empire. And I said, and he said, as a hip hop thing, and I said, only if it's for television, very specifically for prime time, because if it was on prime time, I knew that my family was going to be able to see it. And then it just like, the numbers were just like coming in, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, this is crazy. And I asked my mom, I said, Mom, like, what do you make of that? Like, these numbers are astronomical. It's never, like, in history, it's never happened before. She said, well, yeah, you know, you got that girl, that Academy Award, and that was the first thing you ever did, so I don't know why, you know, why you surprised all of a sudden. And I say that to say that, you know, I think that you have to, if I can do it, anybody in this room that's serious about their career can do it, because I come from a place that I wasn't expected to be here right now with you. And there you go. Q&A time. Question. Thank you. Yes, sir. Maybe for other directors, but not on my set, you know? I mean, I think that, you know, I make myself, I talk about my flaws, because I don't pretend at all, you know? They know that I give them the real and don't come with no fucking attitudes. The only ego on the set is the story. That's the only person. So, you know, on my sets, Oprah's seriously helping somebody with their other person with the makeup. Halle Berry's at craft services. It's putting on a show. We don't have much money anyway. You know, we don't have any money. I mean, I pay them what, $10 in a bag of potato chips. So they really do it for the love of the art. Again, it comes back to the theater part of me. You know we never have had a lot of money to do movies. So they realize that they got to leave that shit for the studios. Yes, ma'am. I use the same actors, sort of. I mean, you know, we become friends. I mean, they're just movie stars. Don't let that fool you. You know, they got problems, and they bleed like you too. So I just use my friends over and over, and I find people. You know, I love discoveries. Nothing is more exciting than working with a new talent that is excited to work and eager to work. So I use my friends, and I like discoveries. So I look online, looking at in the social media today. Like, you can find so many people that just like, it's overwhelming even. You know, wow. So yeah. Yes, sir. It's hard. It's really, really hard, you know. But I try to tell the truth. I always tell the truth. As long as you tell the truth, there's nothing that you can look yourself in the mirror. Everybody's not going to agree with your side of the story. Everybody's not going to understand me. They won't understand me. I don't read anything because my feelings used to get so hurt, and I start thinking that my father told me I wasn't going to be anything. And when I read things like that, I think about what he told me. And so I stop reading, and I just know that I'm always living in the truth. And that has worked with me for all the actors that I've worked with. Because they like working with people that are honest and just keeping it real. So fuck them motherfuckers, okay? Yes, sir. Oh, dude, it's the worst. It's the fucking, I'm telling you, it's like crazy. It's like, you know, because they got a whole bunch of people. It's not you anymore. It's like a studio, you know, and it's like, and I didn't think like my daughter didn't think I could do it. My son told me, Oprah told me I couldn't do it. They all said, you know, what are you, crazy? You're a control freak. I could tell you what color that your hat is right there. I'm very specific about the hat, the color of that chair, the dots on that staircase. I'm very specific. Where that in TV, it's not just left to me. So I'm fighting and kicking for everything that I believe in, but Fox has been really great at letting me do my thing, but it's hard. It's really hard. It's the hardest transition I've ever had. I'm really excited about going. I can't believe I'm going back to movies, but I'm happy to be back in a place where I'm the boss again. Yes, ma'am. I'm gonna be going to cable for something, but for my first one, I really wanted to play with the players. I wanted to. There's more money, you know, in prime time than cable, a lot more. I can't wait to see it, but yeah, it's easier to work in. It's like working in film, and they let you do your thing. You're an auteur, you're a director, you're provocative. Lee Daniels, But I really wanted to work with. I wanted to work with Captain Crunch. I wanted to work with Kellogg's. I wanted to work with, Colgate. These are advertisers that you have to. It's a whole different medium, and each film has prepared me for. Like Butler was my first PG film. It prepared me for television, some way. The universe did. Yes, you with the hat on, in the back. Yeah. No, there's no truth in that at all. Who's they? Not the caster? Well, I don't know who said that. I don't know who said that. Yes?
So you keep speaking about truth. So how do you get your actors to show that truth? Like, is there any exercises or things that you do to bring it out of them?
Because we all have it in us. We just are afraid to show it. because we're fragile. It's like naked. Let me tell you something. The worst thing I go through is when at the end of a movie and I have to show it to somebody, and it's like somebody's, oh God, it's like, I remember showing the TV show. I said, how am I gonna live? Because I don't watch my stuff after I do it. Like I've lived with it for 6 months in the edit room, so that when I throw up before I show my stuff to anybody for the first time. And I thought, how am I gonna live with this every week? Every week it's like a different episode, like, what the, And what was your question? To get, we all have it in us, It's just about being true to yourself, being true to yourself. It's therapeutic. It really is therapy. We just shed ourselves and we come to a place of, okay, now just be. Don't act. Be. Just be. And it's great. It's old school. They like it. Yes, ma'am.
Is it ever a challenge when you're trying to turn the story and transition and transform the story into a film, or does it just come naturally to you?
No, it's hard. It's always a challenge. It's the hardest thing is to making sure that that everything connects the dot, that the story is told and it's woven just right. So that is the hardest part for me. It's harder than getting actors to tell the truth. Is actually sewing it and stitching it together in such a way that it's actually like, whoa, it's a movie. Yes.
I know everyone talks about making connections.
Mm-hmm. You just send your shit out. Just keep sending your stuff out. You hit up people. You continue. You're ruthless about it. For me, people ask me oftentimes, how did you get to? And for me, it was like, there was no option. There was no option. No was never going to happen. Does that make any sense at all? I never took no for an answer. Yes, sir. We fight. It's fight. It's fight time, because Timberland is very clear about the music, that he's he's brilliant. I didn't know who he was. I didn't know hip hop, but I didn't know Puffy when I cast him in Monsters Ball. I didn't know who Puff Daddy was, way back when. So that's not really my sort of thing. But there's battles. There's heated battles. This TV thing, man, it's aged me. It's rough. Yes. What we just talked about earlier, what she just asked me, making sure that the story is told properly, because as you can tell from the little bit of time that we've had together, I'm all over the fucking place. So, though I'm living in the moment, the big picture has to come and everything has to be, has to make sense. Everything I say makes sense, but does the big picture make sense? So that's the harder thing to do, is to making sure that it's all stitched up, that it's edited properly. I mean, I can give you a visual, I can give you some music, I can give you great acting, I can give you a great moment, but how do those moments add up? And it's about stitching and editing and making sure that they're all added up together. Yes? Yes, I'm writing right now. Richard Pryor is the hardest thing ever, and it's the hardest thing is to write. And I hate writing, I didn't go to college. What the hell? That's the hardest thing. Yes?
So now that you've kind of stepped into the new arena of television,
Kind of?
are you looking forward to continuing to step out of your comfort zone?
Always. You're not growing if I'm not. I haven't hit Broadway. How can I come from theater and never do Broadway? So that is very exciting to me, the idea of really going back into the stage and hitting it home there. That's exciting for me. Yes? Yeah, he's set to do it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Richard Pryor. Mm. Yeah. I'd probably do a musical about my life. With original music, yeah. Mm-hmm. And then went back. How often what? Every day, all the time. What you do, the original Big Daddy on Instagram and DM me. The original Big Daddy, Instagram, and I look at everything. No, I just told you what to do, didn't I? Yes. When I'm writing with someone else, it's hard. Because, here's the thing. I did The Butler, and it was based on someone's real story. So at the end of when we showed it for the first time, and Gayle King, Oprah's friend, had a screening in New York City, and I really wanted to tell his story honestly, and I, just to juice it up a little bit, I made Gloria a drunk, and I made her have that affair with Terrence Howard, you know what I mean? That was just to juice it up, because it was going to be boring otherwise, Everything else in the story is true. Well, damn, we were sitting in the audience, and the son of the butler was there, and Gayle, how can she be this? She's a correspondent, for God's sake. That's the first question. You don't ask someone, what'd you think of the movie? Of course, in front of everybody, he says, well, that ain't happened. Why you got my mother having sex with that man? Why you got her drinking? And I wanted to crawl into, so how does it, I think that you have to take creative liberties. You have to, but it's a very delicate line. Like, I had to make sure that the history was absolutely accurate, that everything happened was accurate, but I had to embellish a little bit so y'all could be entertained. Otherwise, y'all be falling asleep. It's a documentary. Fine line. Yes, sir. Entertain, yeah. I think that the truth is still there. You can still, what is the truth? Because Gloria, Oprah didn't understand how she could be in rollers. Her truth, she comes from a different place than I do. The idea of a mother being in curlers at the bus station is not truthful to her. Really, but it was my truth. It's my experience, and I couldn't paint it if I didn't see it. So yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Aren't you scared that if you do a movie about something that you didn't know personally, there would be some things taken out of context, or people might be offended, since you didn't know them personally?
Well, that's why I've taken it so long to do it, because you have to. I'm terrified. Yeah, I want to make sure it's accurate. And plus, he's an icon. Whack the doodle. I know. Yeah. But that's Lifetime. What'd you think of the? Yeah. You did. I hadn't seen it. Should I see it? Yaya's in it. She was in my movie, The Butler. How was she? How was Bobby? Who played Bobby? Who played Bobby? Random. All right, enough. Next question. Yes. Okay. You like it? We got Empire fans here? Good. You crazy. Yeah. That's hard. First of all, I have a great showrunner. I have a great partner, Danny Strong, who wrote The Butler, is my writing partner on it. And I have an incredible showrunner who doesn't get enough credit for her job. Her name is Eileen Chaikin. And she's this white chick that's just that takes this gangster, and she comes in and she really is incredible. And she does the hard work. So I really can't take credit for it. I take credit for the first episode and the first 2 episodes, and sort of overseeing it, but the day-to-day is an incredible group of writers that are writing and under the direction of Eileen Chaikin, who is our showrunner. She did a show called The L Word for Showtime. Mm-hmm. Yes. Wow. Finally, a good question. I have acted before. I can't act. I'm terrible. I'm the worst. You know one thing? I don't know what I would do if I weren't doing this. You know, I don't necessarily need to work right now, but I don't know how not to work because it's ingrained in me. You know, it's like I'm so afraid to wake up hungry again that I just, you know, I'm just, but that's a good question, and I'm going to walk away with that. Thank you for that question. That was a good one. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
You said you were big in the theater. What plays right now would you suggest someone watching?
Well, you mean that's...
Well, what plays do you like?
I love something called The Dutchman. That's a great play. It explains my life. It's an interracial. It's about a black guy and a white woman on a train in New York City, and it's called The Dutchman, and it's a great great piece of theater. New York City. Yeah. Guys, I can tell you, it's been a great time here. I hope you've had as much fun as I have. God bless you. Tell Cookie she fine. I'm going to, why don't you do me a favor and send that to Original Big Daddy, and I will freeze frame it, and I will send it over to her. Last question, yes. Tom, how we doing back there? Tom. How we doing? Time? We late? What? No. Okay. Yeah. Do you know one thing? Stay tuned for tomorrow. 3 more episodes. It's like crazy, right? It's really crazy. I hope you guys had as much fun as I had with you. God bless you and have a great night.